Welcome to New York's number 2 sports show. The Rangers lose to the Calgary Flames by a score of 3-2. Rangers got off to a really slow start. Were outshot 20-5 in Calgary in the first period, and really should have been losing by more than they were. They were down 2-0, and in a 16-second span in the second period, they scored 2 goals to tie it up at 2. Ends up being 2-2 going into the third period. So at that point, Rangers usually, tie games going into the third, find a way to get it done. They don't tonight. And it was the fate that they did deserve. They didn't deserve to win this game based on that really poor start. And Connor Zary for Calgary scores the tie-breaking goal in the third period, right around the same time as probably Chris Kreider's goal a couple of nights ago against the Vancouver Canucks. And so Calgary wins by a score of 3-2. Igor Shesterkin actually makes 46 saves on 49 Calgary shots. So 49 shots to 29 in favor of the Flames, which was not something I was anticipating. I mean, Calgary's been getting the job done, a lot thanks to their goalie, Dustin Wolf, who was in net for them on this evening. But, if the Rangers do beat Edmonton, let's just say, that is certainly, going 3-1 is certainly successful. But, yeah, disappointing for sure with the way the Rangers played. Philip Hedl was not in the lineup again, and I'm not terribly shocked by that, but I would think that he would be back in against Edmonton. And the reason I say that is because, look, good sign for him to make the trip to Western Canada. But if he's not going to play, then what was really the reason for that? You never know. I mean, there's only one game left on this trip, so there is a decent chance at that point that he doesn't play. But my guess would be that he's probably back in there. But we'll see, because it didn't really seem like, in some ways, it didn't seem like he was particularly close to playing in this game based on the way the practice regimen went. But that'll be interesting to see whether he does suit up against Edmonton. So the lines and D pairs were unchanged. However, later in the second period, and it kind of did result positively as the Rangers' second goal was based off this change. Laviolette basically rolled with 3 lines. And what he did was he moved Jimmy Vesey up from the 4th line to the 3rd line. Brodzinski moved down, and what happened was Capo Caco moved to the middle. So didn't really know that was even a possibility. So Caco was actually the center. I don't believe we've really ever seen that with him as a Ranger, but it's nice to have that as an option. Now, it worked out well for the Rangers' second goal. You could argue that for the Calgary winning goal that maybe it didn't work out so well, though a little bit of it was just bad luck in the way that it happened, but maybe a more seasoned center would have gone about it differently than Kako did, but I'm not going to fault him crazily on that one. Honestly, the intentions were there. It just didn't work out. But, yeah, you did not see a whole lot of Edstrom, Carrick, and Brodzinski. Edstrom played 7:39, Brodzinski 7:58, and Carrick 10:45. But in looking at these ice times, really, Jimmy Vesey only 10:08, Kako only 9:35. I mean, Will Cooley played a lot more than them, but still, like, looking at this, it's so slanted heavily in the top 6 direction. And it's just not deserved, really. And I understand that special teams plays a role in some of these ice times, but just not great stuff by certain players. Things that stood out to me. Let's talk forwards first. Like, Chris Kreider just didn't seem at all engaged. He was stopped late by Dustin Wolf on a good opportunity, but I didn't love Kreider's game. And again, we've seen this for years where there's certain games and stretches where his head just doesn't seem fully in it, and he'll say the right things, but the actions won't necessarily match up with it. Look, that line in general was not great, to be honest. Riley Smith, there was a situation late in the second on a 2-on-1 situation as the clock is winding down where the puck was on his stick, and they don't really get a good chance out of it. He either should have shot it or been quicker with the pass to Kreider on the left side, and he wasn't. So that was a little bit disappointing. I feel like, obviously, I mean, Panarin, the last couple games, just seems a little bit off. Obviously, what he's done speaks for itself in a positive way, and I'm not worried about him. But, I feel like Artemi was not, amazing for sure. Vincent Trocheck, I've been saying this. Trocheck, I think he's a guy that I want, like, come playoff time. I think he is someone that you want on your team. That said, I think that his play has maybe taken a bit of a dip from last season. Nothing that is going to cause any craziness, but I think, again, it should be acknowledged. So yeah, again, like the veterans overall just felt like they continue to maybe get a little bit more time than they should, whereas like the likes of Will Cooley and Kako to a further extent deserved more of an opportunity in late game situations. The goalie was pulled. Igor was pulled with over 2 minutes to go. And the number one unit, if you will, the number one go-to players seemed tired. And you had a fresh Will Cooley, for example, on the bench waiting to go in, and he's been effective. He scored again tonight. It's just disappointing that those things continue to happen. As far as the defense goes, I just feel as if the distribution isn't great as far as the fact that Jones is trying to really get a lot less time in the top four. That's first off. But I continue to harp on the fact that I don't love, some of those defensive pairings. Now, Lindgren and Trouba were not specifically horrendous tonight, although there was a couple of ugly moments where Trouba fell and Igor made some saves. But, again, they were not, noticeably terrible more than they usually are. But if you want to stick with Miller Fox, and I'm fine with that, at least give it a chance, Lindgren with Schneider and Jones with Trouba. I'm not saying that's definitely going to be a solution. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not. But at least let's see what you can do with that, because I don't love how Jones and Schneider, I'm not going to say it's sheltered minutes, but it's pretty close to it. It's a lot less than the top four. And I just don't think it's deserved. Again, a theme that I have a problem with on this team is the fact that it feels as if it feels like the veterans are the ones that get the better and more favorable ice time. And I don't necessarily think that lines up with what I'm seeing on the ice as far as where it really should be going. So let's discuss this one. Like I said, first period was an absolute joke for the Rangers, getting outshot 20-5, like just not showing up. And in general, Ranger first periods, they're not really getting the game started the way you want it to. Now, I don't know if that's really necessarily reflected so much in the goal differential. I feel as if the Rangers are in a decent spot for first period goal differential. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if that's their worst of the three periods, but I digress. It's just one of those things where it falls on Peter Laviolette a little bit, but also I know how this core works. We've seen this core for years now, so I think it's twofold. Blame has to go to Laviolette for not getting the troops ready and wired to go right away, but the players themselves, like, hey, like, it's on you. Find some self-motivation and get it done. So Calgary does take the lead, makes it 1-0. At 7:26 of the first, it's Matt Coronado, his sixth goal of the season from Sharon Govich and Uyghur. So this is a goal that happens, again, off the rush. And that has been a problem for the Rangers, where that's where they're allowing a lot of their goals, is teams using some speed, getting into the Rangers zone, getting past the neutral zone, really untouched. And, did Sharon Govich maybe set a little bit of a pick on Braden Schneider? Yes, he did. So a little bit of obstruction there for sure. And I'm not totally sure if Igor was able to see through it, but Coronado takes the snapshot and he scores to give the Flames a 1-0 lead. Then the Rangers take a couple of penalties in that first period. Igor is actually called for tripping Connor Zary at 13-16. Rangers kill it off. And then at 16-22, Adam Edstrom slashes Andrei Kuzmenko, and they kill it off as well. So the Ranger penalty kill does the job in that first period, and the Rangers could have easily been down by more than 1-0. Let's move our way to the second period. Rangers get an opportunity on an Alexis Lafreniere chance that stopped by Wolf. And that was, to that point, was probably maybe the Rangers' most dangerous opportunity. They really had not much in the way of high danger chances, in the first period and, for the first half of the second. But then off of that save, it's a chance for the Calgary Flames, which Igor makes the stop on, but it did result in an Artemi Panarin slashing penalty, which honestly, it seemed a little bit weak to me. Like, yes, did he kind of give him a tap? Yeah, but it wasn't really that forceful. But they call it a a penalty, and Calgary scores in the power play. It's the former Devils Sharon Govich with his third goal of the season from Uyghur and Coronado. So that same trio combines for that goal for the Flames, make it 2-0 at 8:29. And then there's a little bit of controversy where Peter Laviolette challenges that there was a hand pass. And I believe, trying to think of who it was. Who was the one whose glove it went off of? It might have been Huberdeau. I'm not 100% sure on that one. It could have been, it was either Huberdeau or Sharon Govich, one of them, I believe. And it was a situation where it goes off of the glove, but they deemed it a deflection. But the thing is, there's no consistency to that because that similar play was called and whistled later in the game. So that's the frustration where it wasn't like a letter of the law, like where he like gloved it and like had the puck in his glove. It more went off of it. So I'm not totally shocked that the play did stand, but it's just inconsistency. And so, the team was definitely frustrated by that. The goal stands. Now the Rangers are on the penalty kill after a failed challenge, delay a game, but the Rangers killed that off. So it's 2-0 Flames. And then the Rangers get it going in a brief spurt late in the second. They make it 2-1 at 16:37. Alexis Lafreniere scores his 8th goal of the season from Trouba and Lindgren. So that's actually Lindgren's first assist of the season. And it was actually some good zone possession by that Lafreniere line. And Trouba's able to get the shot through. And a little bit of a rebound, and the puck is sitting there for Lafreniere to take a shot, and it's able to go in past Wolf to cut the game to 2-1. Then 16 seconds later, on an offensive zone draw win by Capo Caco, the new center, like they make the changes. They move Bradzinski down, move VC up. It's a shot by Keandre Miller from the point, deflected up top, tipped by Will Cooley and in. Jimmy Vesey providing a little bit of a disturbance in front of the net. But Will Cooley scores his 7th goal of the season for Miller and Fox. So just like that, good, a good job by Rangers defensemen as well. Moving the puck as well, taking shots from distance, and the Rangers providing some bodies and a little bit of traffic in front of the net. And that ties it up at 2. And that would be the score going to the third. So I'm thinking, okay, as bad as it's been, tied 2-2. So I was actually feeling pretty good about the Rangers' chances in this game. Based on the way that we know this team, they typically play pretty well in the third period in tie games. And then to make things a little bit better, at 1:03, Blake Coleman is called for goalie interference on Igor Shesterkin, but the Rangers' power play does not score. So that was their one power play chance in the game. They don't get it done. At 6:44, Vincent Trocheck takes an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, which is not a penalty you want to take in that situation. And I believe it was due to frustration. If I had to guess, maybe where it related back to the challenge that was unsuccessful and the fact that a hand pass was called. Something that, Trocheck and company were upset with the officials. He took it too far, clearly, and the Rangers were shorthanded. Luckily, they killed it off because that would have been bad. You can't take a penalty like that, even if you're frustrated in that situation. But Calgary is able to score what would be the game-winning goal at 10:35 of the third. Connor Zary scores his 4th goal of the season from Huberdeau and Uyghur. So Zary was going, trying to take it strong to the net, left wing. Kako is right on him, and his stick is on the ice. And what ends up happening is Zary takes a wrist shot, and it kind of deflects off of Kako's stick and kind of flutters over Shesterkin and in. When I first saw it, I'm thinking, okay, this is one that Igor wants to have back. But to be fair, with it going off of Kako's stick, it just went in a way that he didn't anticipate. And it's too bad because if anyone deserved this win, it was Igor. He really, really kept the Rangers in this game. And for Igor, like I said, I didn't think he played all that well against Vancouver last game. Totally different story here where he was the Rangers' best player. But unfortunately, they go down 3-2. And then later on, they pull the goalie with, like I said, 2 minutes to 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. Calgary had so many chances to score an empty net goal and just could not do so, giving the Rangers opportunity after opportunity. And the Rangers really had maybe a couple of good chances. One where Panarin takes a shot, saved, and then Kreider on the rebound, shot, saved. But the Rangers, those players were gassed. There was no stoppages, and that's where it's almost a little bit of selfishness where some of those players should have gotten off the ice and didn't. And, so they just had no gas left in the tank. And Calgary wins it by a score of 3-2. So Rangers' second loss on the road this season. Still 2-1 on this Western swing. And now with one more against Edmonton. Now, here's the deal with Edmonton. They I think they've lost a couple in a row. Not off to a great start, which is not too uncommon for Edmonton. They're a very streaky team, and they don't always get off to the hottest of starts. They're 10-9-2 overall, and they're not good at home. But I don't love the fact that they're coming off of, again, like this loss home against Minnesota. I think they're on a 2-game losing streak. So the always dangerous Edmonton Oilers, this will be an interesting matchup and kind of a good litmus test for the Rangers for sure, knowing the amount of skill that Edmonton does possess. And my gut tells me that Jonathan Quick will be in net. Now, I'm not saying I have a full certainty, but that's a hunch. Even more so than Filip Chytil, right? I think Chytil will play for like Brodzinski next game, but that's another thing. That's a different situation. For this one, I think it makes sense to probably go to Quick, especially with the heavy workload that Igor just faced. And the fact that I think that Quick has a lot of history against Edmonton with his time with the LA Kings, being in the Western Conference, and then more specifically for years being in the same division as well. So that, just a guess on my part, we'll see what happens. The Rangers lose and drop to 12-5-1, get outshot 20-5 in the first period. They tie it up, but ultimately they give up the big goal in the third period to lose it, 3-2 to the Flames. And now they will finish out their Western Canadian road trip with a meeting with the Edmonton Oilers on Saturday night.